Okay.
All right, so good morning. Well, it's evening for you.
Yes.
So excellent. So I had a chance to look over your videos and I had a chance to look at your lesson plan. I absolutely love watching art teacher stuff because it's always so much fun, honestly. And your little kids are so cute.
They are very cute.
They really are.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, okay. So when I'm looking at, let's see, I'm going to pull up my grading rubric that I did for you. Sorry, just getting out of another VC. I'm kind of flustered.
No, I
All right.
noticed because when I signed in, it said the host is otherwise compromised. And I was like, oh, she must be in class.
Yeah, this group that I have now is super talkative. So it's good.
Well,
It makes it go fast. But
also, it's like Sunday morning. So for you, that's real sucky.
yeah, I got up at 5:30 for this. So, I mean, 4:30 for this. So all right, so the first criteria, it says developmentally appropriate instruction and understanding of learnings. I gave you an outstanding for that. I think you understand the needs of your students extremely well. You understand their limitations. You understand what you need to ask to make sure that you know what pre-knowledge that they have, such as the scissor usage.
Mhm.
I think it's a really good question that you ask besides like just going, hey, go grab your scissors kind of thing. You went ahead and asked, hey, who had done this, who had not, and things like this. So I gave you an outstanding in that department. When it came valuing the students, I gave you a proficient because you did make the students feel very valued, and you helped them with respecting each other. However, why I didn't give you an outstanding is because, and again, it's their age, but they would often interrupt one another. And we always have to go back and remind them, like, listen, so and so's Jenny's talking. We need to listen so we can be respectful. Having continuous reminders for kids your age is super important to help reissue the respect at a constant level. Then the next one says students with learning differences or needs. I think you did a great job here because, as we both know, obviously none of your students could be diagnosed even if they did have anything. But what I did notice that you for you is one of the students was struggling on understanding to cut on the lines, that you asked your co-teacher to say it to him in Chinese. And so I took that as meeting the needs of the student because perhaps he is someone that struggles with English tremendously through learning needs or whatever the case is. You found an accommodation where he's heard it in English several times, and then you just re-emphasized it in his native language, and he was able to successfully master the task there. So I think you did a great job at that one.
Okay.
Creating a safe, positive learning environment. I think you did an outstanding job on that. There was positive reinforcement going around. There were kids happy. They were cheering. I didn't hear anyone making fun of one another. And it was a good environment, especially because I also noted that your classroom looks very fun and very colorful, but not in a distracting way. And so it gets the kids into their art mindset. Like especially your little like fat little man next to the door or whatever. That's a
Oh, that's
colorful
my
thing.
bear. Yeah.
I love him. I love him. I kept looking at him through the video.
Yeah.
I think it's really cute. Obviously, with your activity and you being art, it is a student-centered classroom at all times. But then you also allowed them to go on the carpet and work independently where they could really express their creative side. If they wanted to draw a forest, they could. If they decided, nope, I'm going to draw a city landscape with buildings, they had that freedom to choose. If they decided, I just want to draw squares all around it, that's okay. There was no limitations. And you allow them to engage because anytime they're engaged, when they have freedom, I really think it allows to deeper level learning experiences. So I gave you an outstanding in that one as well.
Okay. How many were there? How many are there? Are there
I
four?
graded you? No,
Yeah.
I graded you on 1,
Three.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I graded you on 6 different parts.
6 parts. Okay. Because it was 3 standards, but I think it's 2 on each standard or something. Yeah.
Well, it breaks apart differently each time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one that I graded you on was managing the learning environment norms and procedures. I gave you proficient The only reason I couldn't give you an outstanding is because they're looking for technology usage, and there was no technology really needed for this lesson. So I think it would have looked very odd if it was added in,
Yeah.
but
I've
that's what it is there.
I've mentioned this several times in VCs and in papers or blog posts or whatever has been assigned, that I actually try to not use technology as much as I can in the art room, because I don't want them on tablets and watching videos nonstop. I want them making stuff with their hands. They're on tablets all day long in their other classes, doing all sorts of stuff. I don't want them having screen time in my classroom. So I try as hard as possible to get them making stuff with their hands and actually talking to each other. So
Yeah.
that's my beef with that. Now I will use it, like I used it in the last lesson that I sent to you, because I introduced something with the video. But and then we do have portfolios that we do on a regular basis that we use videos for. And then with my older kids, like my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they will sometimes do these projects that are costume based, but then they have to take pictures of themselves and put them in a digital background. And so we use it when it's authentically needed. I won't just throw it in there for the hell of it, because I don't think they need to be on screens all the time. I think that's a really bad thing for us to get into.
I totally agree. And the only thing I would have suggested on how to incorporate technology there is to let them, with their name tag and their pumpkin, snap a picture so they could have made a virtual portfolio of their work at the end of the year and collide it that way. And provide it for the parents or something.
We just got tablets for them, and I don't know how to use them because they're not Apple products. But so I need to, but they're not in my classroom either. So I have to ask to get them at some point from other.
Gotcha.
So, so it's just a little bit tricky as far as how to get them and use them. And I'm not even sure at that age that they actually have them, now that I think about it. I think it's only grade 1 and higher that got tablets. So I'll just have to figure it out. So
yeah, no, I totally understand that. And that's why I said, like, I don't think it would have been authentic to add in technology there. So I would have given you an outstanding if the technology piece was not in my rubric that I would have had to grade on.
Oh, sure.
It was really good.
Sure. Yeah.
A couple things that I do when I taught younger school that I think your kids may like is when you're trying to get their attention, getting all their attention at one time. You could say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, and then they have to say back 1, 2, eyes on you. And that's kind of a way to regather them, so you can get all their attention and you can say, okay, now who wants to help me go clean this? And then now you have more attention for volunteers or whatever the case is.
Sometimes we do claps. The younger kids aren't as good at following that kind of stuff. The older kids, I say class, 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 and they say yes, yes, yes. And that's our call and response thing, to get their attention. But the younger kids, because most of them don't understand English, it's a little bit more challenging to get them to do the call and response thing.
I totally get that.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead. Yes, that's a great idea, though.
Another thing, when they're on the carpet, to remind them to sit properly, you could say crisscross applesauce. And that could be just their cue that they need to check their posture. Because I do think at the very beginning, and the funny thing is, what I do when I write my feedback to you, I don't read your reflection until the very end, because I want my feedback to be very honest and very straightforward. And the funny thing is a lot of the things that I said in my feedback, you had put in your reflection as well.
Oh yeah.
Which is really, really good. So yeah, like I agree with you. As much as you talked at the very beginning, we're going through multiple steps at one time. You lost a lot of their attention due to the length of time that they had to be down there, but you noticed that. And you wrote about that in your reflection. I wrote about that in how it could be improved in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I do that, because I want to give authentic feedback, and then I want to see how did you actually perceive it. And then I can compare how deep your reflection actually is. Is it really realistic that you thought this was like the perfect lesson, not a single thing went wrong, everything went smoothly? Or did you notice there was hiccups here and there, like any normal lesson? And did you address it and give suggestions? And that's exactly what you did. So I think your reflection side is very good because it's very realistic. You know your limitations. You know that there's no way that you could get kids to sit on the floor at this age for 15 minutes straight being perfect. That's
Right.
a limitation that you have. You know that you have kids working at different paces. So going one step by one step by one step isn't probably going to be the best solution for your class.
Right.
And so I really appreciate your feedback there. And I think it really shows that you understand you as a teacher, you understand your students and their needs. And so that's really good.
Thank you. Is there a way to do that? So like, is there a way to combine those two things? Like maybe, I don't know how to do it. Cause like when I was writing the reflection, I was like, well, I don't know how to do it, because if I were to do it again, I don't want them sitting there for a long time. Here's the difference is that I did the same thing with K1 and K2. K2 is just a hair older, and they were totally fine the entire time. K1 is still straddling with being nursery age.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not quite at 5-year-old age. And so they got a little antsy. No, not all of them, but some of them did get a little antsy towards the end of the demonstration. But I don't know how to figure out how to do that, because if I were to do something similar next year, I really don't think, because they're at such drastically different levels, especially with fine motor skills at that age, that I don't know what the best way to do it is, unless I don't do a demo at all. And then we just kind of practice the cutting, and then they can kind of freely put together their pumpkin however they want to do it without me showing.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is the demo necessary? If you have your 2 pumpkins and they're on the table, and you go, look at my pumpkins, could you make yours look similar to mine? Because that would work on their problem solving skills. That would work on their creative skills. That would work on their critical thinking skills. By not getting a demo going,
Yeah, they're so comfortable with Halloween that they know what it's going to look like anyway. This is not a surprise. And I mean, Henry even was like, I don't want mine to look like that. And he had his eyes all exploded out. He wanted it to look as scary as possible.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, and so, and there was another kid, maybe in the other class, I can't remember who the other one was, but they wanted theirs to look totally different as well. So maybe if I didn't even do the demo at all, they could just, however they wanted to make it is however they wanted to make it. Because like some of them in one of the classes, I can't remember which one, it may have been this one, I can't remember, actually didn't want the round eyes. They would have preferred the triangle eyes, so it looked more jack-o'-lantern-y. So maybe I just put a bunch of paper on the table and we practice cutting shapes, and they can put it together however they want, and that gives a little bit more ownership to how they're doing.
And you can still have models, you can still have examples.
Sure.
But then they can choose if they're going to follow it, and then if they wanted to follow it, then they have to figure out what are the steps that I need to do to get mine to look like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.